You've had this thought before, even if you've never said it out loud. If I don't hold it together, everything will fall apart. So you listen, you absorb, you carry. You walk into a room and within seconds you can feel who's anxious, who's irritated, who's pretending. And without deciding to, you start adjusting yourself. Your tone softens. Your body leans in. You make space for their pain. And then later alone, you feel strangely heavy, not just tired, heavy. If you're an empath, this can feel like your identity. This is just who I am. I feel everything. I care deeply. But here's what we're really talking about today. When empaths stop absorbing pain, everything changes. By the end of this video, you'll understand why you keep absorbing other people's emotions, even when it drains you. And you'll know exactly what to say the next time someone tries to hand you something that isn't yours to carry. I'll give you a specific sentence you can use. And I'll walk you through a simple 1-minute reset to stop the automatic absorption in real time. Because here's the part no one tells you. Absorbing pain is not the same as being compassionate. Somewhere in your nervous system, those two got fused together. Maybe growing up, you learned that the safest way to belong was to tune in, to sense the shift before anyone named it. Maybe you became the calm one in a chaotic home, the mediator, the emotional support system. That wasn't weakness, that was brilliance. Your body adapted. Imagine a child sitting in a living room where tension fills the air. No one says it directly, but she can feel it. Her stomach tightens, her breathing gets shallow. She thinks, if I can just keep everyone okay, I'll be okay. That pattern doesn't disappear just because you're an adult now. Fast forward, a partner comes home irritated, a friend spirals, a coworker unloads, and before you even choose, your body leans in and takes it on. You call it empathy, but often it's absorption. And here's loop number 1. Why do you keep doing this even when it hurts? Because at some point, your nervous system equated absorbing pain with preventing loss. If they're upset and I don't help, will they pull away? If I don't soothe this, will I be blamed? If I let them sit in their discomfort, will I lose connection? This is rarely conscious. It's somatic. It lives in your chest, your gut, your throat. Now listen closely. Empathy says, I can feel that you're hurting. Absorption says, I need to hurt with you so you don't have to hurt alone. One is connection. The other is self-abandonment disguised as love. And here's what changes when you stop absorbing. You don't become cold. You don't become detached. You become differentiated. You begin to feel where you end and someone else begins. Let me give you a small everyday example. Your friend calls and immediately starts venting about her relationship. Within minutes, your body feels tight. You're offering solutions. You're emotionally invested. By the end of the call, you feel drained even though nothing in your own life actually happened. Now imagine a different response. She calls. You listen. You care. But internally, you remind yourself, this is her experience. I can witness it without carrying it. Notice the difference. The first version collapses into her pain. The second stands beside it. That shift sounds subtle. It's not. Because every time you absorb someone else's pain, your body registers stress. Your nervous system doesn't distinguish between mine and theirs if you don't consciously create that boundary. Over time, this leads to chronic tension, fatigue, irritability. And then you judge yourself for being overwhelmed. Here's a reframe that may feel uncomfortable but freeing. When you constantly absorb other people's pain, you unintentionally communicate that they can't handle it themselves. Your over-functioning invites their under-functioning. That doesn't make you bad. It means the system has been imbalanced. Now I want to open loop number 2. There is a sentence you can use when someone begins to offload in a way that feels heavy. A sentence that keeps your heart open but your nervous system protected. I'll give it to you soon. But first, we need to address what makes it so hard to say. Because if your body believes that boundaries equal rejection, no sentence will come out steady. For many empaths, boundaries feel like cruelty. You imagine saying, I can't talk about this right now, and immediately your chest tightens. You picture them hurt. You feel like you're abandoning them. But here's the truth. Letting someone feel their own emotions is not abandonment. It's respect. There's a difference between being supportive and becoming someone's emotional processing center. And here's the part that shifts everything. If you don't consciously choose not to absorb, your body will keep doing it automatically. So let's interrupt that pattern right now with a simple reset you can use today. It takes about 60 seconds. First, inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 4. Let your belly expand. Then exhale gently for a count of 6. Do that 3 times. As you breathe, press your feet into the floor. Feel the ground holding you. Notice the chair beneath you. Anchor into your body. Then silently say, this is not mine to carry. Not harsh, not defensive, just clear. Feel what happens when you say that. Often there's small separation space. That space is where choice lives. Most empaths don't need to care less, they need to merge less. And when you stop merging, something surprising happens. You actually become more grounded, more present, and more trustworthy because you're no longer subtly resentful or depleted. Before I share the first boundary sentence, I want you to check in with yourself. When someone is upset around me, do I immediately feel responsible for fixing it? Do I feel guilty when I don't respond right away? Do I feel drained after conversations that weren't even about me? Do I secretly wish someone would hold space for me the way I hold it for everyone else? Just notice your answers. No judgment, just awareness. Because awareness is the beginning of choice. In a moment, I'm going to give you a sentence you can use the next time someone starts handing you their emotional weight. And we'll talk about how to say it in a way that feels calm instead of defensive. But first, there's one more subtle pattern we need to untangle. Here's the subtle pattern we need to untangle. Many empaths believe that if they don't absorb the pain, they are being selfish. That if they don't feel it deeply, respond immediately, or offer relief, they are somehow failing at love. But that belief didn't start in your adult relationships. It likely began in moments where love felt conditional, fragile, or dependent on your emotional performance. So your nervous system learned, if I am useful, I am safe. If I am needed, I belong. Listen carefully to this. Being needed is not the same as being loved. When you absorb someone's pain automatically, you create a role, the stabilizer, the fixer, the emotional container. And roles feel secure because they're predictable, but they're also limiting. Because if you stop playing that role, you fear the connection might shift. And here's the truth that changes everything. If a relationship only works when you are overextending, it is not balanced connection. It is dependence on your self-abandonment. That's why this next part matters so much. When someone begins to offload in a way that feels heavy, instead of immediately absorbing, you can say, I care about you and I want to be present for this, but I don't have the capacity to go deep right now. Notice what that does. It affirms connection and names a limit. There's no attack, no accusation, just clarity. If someone continues pushing, you might say, I trust that you can handle this, even if it's uncomfortable. That sentence is powerful. It gently hands responsibility back without shame. And in moments where you feel yourself starting to merge emotionally, especially in close relationships, you can say, I'm noticing I'm getting overwhelmed, so I need to pause this conversation and come back to it later. Again, calm, grounded, regulated. These are not walls, they are boundaries with a door. Now you might be thinking that sounds good in theory, but my body still panics. Of course it does. Your body learned long ago that harmony equals safety. So when you disrupt that harmony even slightly, it registers as risk. This is where compassion comes in. Instead of forcing yourself to be stronger, try this. The next time you set a boundary and feel the wave of guilt or anxiety, place your hand gently on your chest, take one slow breath, and say internally, it makes sense that this feels hard. I'm doing something new. That small self-attunement rewires more than self-criticism ever will. Here's something else no one tells empaths. When you stop absorbing pain, you will initially feel other people's discomfort more sharply. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're no longer numbing yourself by merging. You'll see their disappointment. You'll hear the pause in their voice. And you'll have to tolerate not fixing it. That is growth. And here's the paradox. When you stop absorbing, you actually invite more authentic intimacy. Because now, when you say yes, it's real. When you listen, it's chosen. When you support, it's sustainable. There's a difference between drowning with someone and standing on steady ground while offering your hand. Empaths often confuse intensity with closeness. But closeness doesn't require collapse. Let's return to that moment when someone starts venting and you feel your body tighten. Instead of leaning forward energetically, try subtly leaning back in your chair. Feel your spine, feel your breath. Remind yourself, I can care without carrying. That physical shift communicates safety to your nervous system. It tells your body, we are separate, we are steady. Over time. This becomes your new baseline. You'll notice you leave conversations with energy still intact. You'll notice resentment fading. You'll notice a quieter mind at night, and something else will happen. The people around you will begin to rise. Some may initially resist. That's normal. Systems resist change. But many will adapt. They'll problem solve more, regulate more, take ownership more. And if someone consistently refuses to respect your limits, that gives you important information. Not about your worth, about the health of the dynamic. Before we close, I want you to gently imagine a version of yourself who no longer absorbs pain automatically. She walks into a room and still feels deeply. But she doesn't contract. She doesn't brace. She doesn't take responsibility for every emotional ripple. She listens, she cares, she stays rooted in her own body. That version of you is not less empathic. She is more integrated. And integration feels like calm strength. So the next time you feel that familiar pull to take on what isn't yours, pause, breathe, press your feet into the floor. Tell yourself, this is not mine to carry. And if needed, speak one of those sentences with steady softness. You are allowed to care without collapsing. You are allowed to love without losing yourself. You are allowed to witness pain without absorbing it. When empaths stop absorbing pain, everything changes. Not because they become harder, but because they become whole. And wholeness is not loud, it's steady, it's grounded, it's free. In the next video, we'll talk about how to stop feeling guilty when you finally choose yourself.